Just picture this for a second. An absolutely staggering amount of human history and wealth resting just out of our reach. We're talking beneath ocean waves, buried under centuries of dirt, or hidden away in forgotten vaults. It's not just gold and jewels either. It's literal fragments of our shared human story, basically fossilized by time itself. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating, incredibly high-stakes world of lost treasures in this explainer. $10 billion. Now just let that sink in for a second. That is the estimated value of the cargo aboard just one missing ship, the fabled San José galleon. When we're talking about lost treasure, we aren't just spinning bedtime stories or pirate myths here. No way. We are talking about staggering economic stakes and artifacts that have the power to fundamentally rewrite history. Section 1. The allure of lost treasure. Okay, let's dive into this. So what exactly is it that drives us to spend literally lifetimes searching for these things? Well, it's this universal, enduring obsession with finding what's been lost. Time traps incredible wealth and historical knowledge in a specific moment, just waiting to be unearthed by someone bold enough to look. And the sheer breadth of history's most wanted artifacts, it is absolutely astounding. We've got King John's crown jewels, lost way back in 1216. Then there's the Amber Room, a World War II mystery that some historians swear carries a literal curse. But it's not all gold and gems, right? We're also missing the Peking Man fossils, one of the biggest paleoanthropological finds of the 20th century, completely vanished for over 80 years. And, my personal favorite, the Copper Scroll. It's an actual 1st century BC treasure map from the Essenes found in the caves of Qumran alongside the Dead Sea Scrolls. Every single one of these represents a massive, gaping hole in our cultural record. Section 2. Maps, Myths, and Money Pits. There is a deeply romantic, almost mythic aspect to treasure hunting. It's a pursuit where people dedicate their entire lives and their fortunes to digging up a single patch of earth based on centuries-old clues. Just take the Oak Island obsession. It is the world's longest-running treasure hunt. It started way back in 1795 with the discovery of the so-called money pit. Over the decades, water testing actually confirmed silver and gold in a solution channel way below the surface. Fast forward to 2026, season 13 for the modern treasure hunters out there, and they are deploying massive telescoping caissons to push more than 200 feet deep into this waterlogged, collapsed ground. It's a relentless 231-year obsession to finally breach those depths. Section 3. When legends become reality. The hushed mystery of the hunt is thrilling, for sure, but sometimes the hunt actually ends. These fabled treasures, long thought to be mere legends, are actually found. And honestly, the reality is often just as fascinating as the myth. Take the Florentine diamond. For 100 years, its mythological status dominated gem history. It was this massive 137.27-carat, 9-sided pale yellow diamond from the Medicis and Habsburgs, completely vanished amidst empires and wars. People wondered if it was recut or stolen, but in 2025, the Habsburg family revealed it was safely locked in a Canadian bank vault the entire time. It just reappeared, totally intact, and it's going to remain in Canada as a thank you to the country for sheltering Empress Zita during the war. Section 4. The Holy Grail found. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it details the ultimate underwater discovery, a find that literally sent shockwaves through the historical and financial worlds. Sunk in 1708 by a British fleet off Cartagena, the San José galleon has been resting 600 meters, that's almost 2,000 feet, below the Caribbean Sea. Remember that $10 billion figure from the start? That's the estimated value of its cargo. We are talking 11 million gold and silver coins, plus emeralds, originally meant to fund the War of the Spanish Succession. And just recently, Colombian scientists successfully brought up the very first objects from the dark depths, a cannon, 3 gold coins, and a porcelain cup, which are all undergoing a delicate conservation process right now. Section 5. Who owns the past? But here's the thing. Pulling gold from the ocean floor, that's literally only half the battle. This transition from the romance of discovery brings us crashing right into the harsh reality of modern ownership disputes. Once you find billions of dollars or a priceless piece of human heritage, a massive question immediately emerges. Who actually owns the past? To understand this, we've got to ground ourselves in the academic reality. In an insightful interview with the GJOR Journal, international law expert Dr. Catherine Teedy breaks down the complex legal frameworks governing cultural heritage. Because, as it turns out, the law of the sea and the law of the land get extremely complicated when millions of dollars are on the line. Section 6. The evolving legal landscape. So the crucial point is,
The old playground rule of finders keepers absolutely does not apply to billions of dollars or national heritage. You can't just scoop up a galleon or a Roman statue and take it home for your mantle. There are strict global rules that dictate exactly what happens next, broken down into three distinct areas. First up, the 1954 Hague Convention, which handles objects removed during war and occupation, meaning cultural property can't be retained as war reparations. Then we have the 1970 UNESCO Convention, with 143 states signed on, preventing illicit import and export during peacetime. Finally, the 1995 UNIDROIT Convention, which mandates the return of stolen items, including those from unlawful excavations. These are incredibly dense legal conventions, but they are the absolute backbone of modern archaeology.
Applying this legal reality back to the San José galleon, we see how messy things get in practice. The Colombian government claims the wreck as state heritage, and their deep water expedition is strictly for scientific research, not seizing treasure. Meanwhile, they're locked in a bitter arbitration litigation with a group of U.S. investors called Sea Search Armada. These investors claim they discovered the galleon back in 1982, and they are demanding $10 billion, which they assume is 50% of the economic rights. It is a massive, multinational legal standoff. And this brilliantly illustrates how these evolving legal concepts apply to some of the most famous debates in the world, like the Parthenon marbles. According to Dr. Titi's analysis, customary international law is evolving to support returning items removed in colonial times. The legal case outlined here is fascinating. There's actually no evidence that a valid Ottoman authorization, a firman, ever existed to transfer the property. Furthermore, historical records show the expenses paid were largely bribes to local officials who feared for their lives, not an actual purchase. And perhaps most importantly, under international law, property in public buildings belongs to the sovereign state in perpetuity. Parts of public buildings are legally immovable. But beyond the strict legal arguments, there's a powerful ethical one. As the French archaeologist Quatremère de Quincy stated more than 2 centuries ago, to divide is to destroy. When we rip artifacts away from their context, whether it's half of a temple split between museums or a porcelain cup separated from a shipwreck, we destroy the cohesive narrative they have to tell. The surviving pieces are like a giant jigsaw puzzle that has to be brought together to be truly understood. Which brings us to our final thought. We started by looking at the incredible romance and multi-billion-dollar stakes of hunting for the past. But as we've seen, unearthing the treasure is just the beginning. The moment a 300-year-old gold coin hits the surface, it ceases to be a myth and becomes a legal, ethical, and historical battleground. So I leave you with this question to ponder. Between the countries of origin, the descendants of the original owners, and the modern explorers who dedicate their lives to finding them, who truly owns history once it's pulled from the earth?